I did a thing, and guess what? I bought one of these. So if you're not familiar with what this is a gaming PC because I am going to be upgrading my home office to one of these things. So that way, hopefully my video editing can be a little bit more smoother, but also just be able to play games and do my daily tasks within my office with this power station. So I picked up the iBUYPOWER Slate 8 Mesh Gaming PC. And so I know all of the computer police out there, it's not the best PC out there. There's a lot of kind of fallacies about this PC, but for what I need it to do, it actually does a magnificent job. And so honestly, I bought this gaming PC not because I'm a gamer, but more so because of its specs or the kind of technical details behind it. And so I bought this gaming PC with the idea of being able to just upgrade my home office just through and through. I work from home, so having a strong computer actually means a lot to me. I need a computer that's stable, reliable, it's capable, and this computer actually kind of checks all those boxes. So I'm coming from a 14-inch Lenovo laptop that I bought back in like 2019, and so anyone who knows anything about technology knows that the life cycle of computers typically doesn't age well, especially if it's a laptop, because just newer technology continues to cascade on top of the older technology. And so even though my Lenovo laptop was really good and it did what it was supposed to do, now that I'm starting to do YouTube and I need those additional bump in technical specs like RAM or hard drive space, this computer was just kind of a no-brainer. So I went to Best Buy just before Black Friday of 2024, and then I actually traded in my Lenovo laptop. They actually gave me $585 for a trade-in for a Lenovo laptop that was 5 years old, which I feel like is just a really good deal. So after cleaning the slate of the hard drive and removing all my personal data, I went to Best Buy, I traded in my Lenovo laptop, and then I went ahead and purchased the iBUYPOWER Slate 8 Mesh. That's just like a weird name. And so at the time of purchase, the iBUYPOWER Slate 8 Mesh desktop gaming PC was actually on sale from, I believe, $1,600 to $999. And then add the trade-on onto that, I got this gaming PC with these pretty good specs for just over $500 because, you know, there's taxes and things like that. And so when I do the comparison between the iBUYPOWER Slate 8 Mesh versus my Lenovo laptop, aside from the specs just being better, the only thing that I lose from having my Lenovo laptop is portability, which really doesn't affect me too much because of the fact that I never actually brought my laptop around with me. Even though it was portable, my laptop was always in a docking station on my desk. And then if I ever had to do any type of travel for work or anything like that, I would always just take my corporate laptop, not my personal laptop. So even though I'm not going to be using this computer for gaming, it actually has a dedicated, I think 6 or 8 gigabytes of GPU for graphical performance units. And it really has the capability of doing some decent gaming at 2K, maybe even 4K with ray tracing. But ultimately, I'm not ever going to use that because when I think of my daily tasks, like my Microsoft Word or my Excel sheets, my PowerPoints, my Filmora for my video editing, or maybe just like some simple gaming off of my Steam client, I don't ever really play games that are like AAA games on a gaming PC, a gaming machine, because I have a PS5 for that. And so I know people are going to say, well, you have a PS5, but a gaming PC or a gaming rig is better. Okay, that's true. But again, I didn't buy this computer for gaming. I bought it for video editing as well as other daily tasks with a side or a dash of potentially gaming. And honestly, if I wanted to do any type of PC gaming, I have the Asus ROG Ally, I have the Legion Go, and then I have the Nintendo Switch and a PS5. So my gaming needs are pretty satiated in the gaming department. And so that's why I bought this iBUYPOWER Slate 8 gaming computer, because just at a general standpoint, I wanted to upgrade my home office and all the things that entails with that. So as you probably know, there's a bajillion type of computer terminology that some people just understand or some people don't. If you're not tech savvy, I'm gonna try to make this video as easily digestible for you. So that way, if you are in the market, or maybe your kid or your boyfriend or girlfriend is looking for a gaming PC, maybe this is the one for you. Okay, so if you can still see me here, this is the actual machine. Again, it's pretty large. Comparatively, it's not as large as some other gaming PCs. So in retrospect, I am saying that this is a large computer, but there are definitely larger gaming PCs because they do more intensive gaming. And this one I would say is about mid-range size. There are smaller ones and then there are larger ones. The actual footprints that this thing is going to have on my desk or my floor is going to be substantial comparatively to my 14-inch Lenovo laptop that I just traded in for this thing. So here on top, we have the power button, which I assume is whenever we press the button, it's going to have an LED light around it. We have two fat USBs or USB-As on top. We have a microphone jack and then a headphone jack, and then we have a USB-C. So they make sure that you have all the ports you need on top, but also keep in mind that you also have ports on the back. So on the back side here of the computer, we can see that we have an HDMI ports, and then we have a DP ports or display ports, and then we have more USBs, a data drop or an Ethernet wire, and then we have more USBs, and then we have some of these colored cables from way back when, whoever still uses those. Okay, so for those of you who are monitor junkies, I'm not blaming you, I am myself. We have 3 more display ports here at the bottom. That's not including the one at the top here. So in total, this particular machine has 3 display ports and 2 HDMI ports, which is going to be phenomenal because theoretically, you're going to be able to add about 5 monitors to this machine. And then below, we have additional slots where you could add additional memory or upgrade your GPU or whatever it may be. But then at the very bottom, you have like a hard button, so that way you could turn off this particular machine using this on and off button. But then let's go and peel this section off. And that's going to be your power supply. So that's going to be the actual port that is going to hook into the wall to supply this thing. Okay, so I'm sharing the screen a little bit with my new buddy, and you can actually see that this is tempered glass. This is actually going to be glass. It has a little sticker thing here that we're gonna peel off, but inside you're actually able to see the components. And that's actually a thing about gaming computers, is they make it a staple so that way you can see inside of your particular tower or your particular frame. So that way you're able to see all of the LED lights and just kind of see all the fans whizzing and whirring, because again, that's just kind of a staple of gaming PCs. So you won't typically see that in a regular desktop computer, and then you're definitely not going to see that on a regular laptop. So let's go and peel this thing off really quick and check and see what this little bag is inside. So let's go ahead and take this envelope looking thing out of the actual machinery and components area. There's a little crevice in the back here, and you simply just kind of pull it off. You gently pull it off, and you can see that the front area where the tempered glass is actually going to be coming off. And so I'm gonna check and see that this tempered glass comes fully off. So just be cognizant about that when you are taking this off. So I'm gonna put that to the side for a little bit and then pull this thing out in here. So I'm not quite sure what this thing is. It feels like it's foam inside. All right, so we're not actually going to get into the details of everything in here because I personally don't want to bore you with all of the hardware things. If you are a hardware junkie and you like to kind of geek out on this stuff, more power to you. That's just not my jimmy jam, but you can definitely see here that there is a heat sink. There's a few fans in here, the motherboard's in the back, a few wires. Here's additional slots to add more things to your particular machine. And then again, remember back here is going to be where those grills were, where you're able to add additional functionality, let's say more RAM sticks or maybe more GPU hardware components and things like that. So now that this is actually empty, we could probably put like a teddy bear in there and then kind of just have Pikachu hang out. So 1 second, let me do that. Okay, here we go. Just kidding. The actual tower of the computer box was only just one portion. You actually, with this particular computer purchase, you actually get a RGB keyboard along with it, which I think seems pretty cool. And then you can see here that it also comes with a mouse. Continuing on, and there we have the power supply wire in here, and then just a fancy little zip lock. So let's go and open this up. This thing right here is actually going to be an antenna that sits on top of your desktop, and I'll show you what that means later, but you essentially plug it in and it's going to help receive all of your wireless internet, and then you're able to go ahead and do some wireless gaming if you don't want to hardwire in. The co-star of the show wants to say hello, so Here she is. Further into this packet, we then have the power supply, like I just mentioned. It's a typical like 3-prong power supply, and then it goes into your wall outlet. And then we have this thing right here, which is essentially going to be a bribe for you to leave a good review, and then you get a free gift. It doesn't really say what the free gift is, but essentially they're trying to buy your review. So continuing on with the unboxing areas, we have this instruction manual. Honestly, it's really just going to say, you know, how to reset your PC, if your Windows operating system is corrupted. It really gives some pretty good troubleshooting steps, and it's actually pretty helpful because you definitely, especially if you're not computer savvy or technical savvy, it shows you the quick start guide. So do this, don't do that type thing, and then plug this in, but don't plug that in. And it also has a technical support on this piece of paper. So again, if you're not tech savvy or whatever it is, you can always call them and say, hey, you know, I just bought this computer, something's going on, and then hopefully it's going to resolve your computer issues. So let's go and undo some of these things so we can see what the peripherals actually look like. So obviously this is going to be a wire that's held and secured by a wire. And then we have this thing, which I said is going to be the antenna. And this antenna is going to be plugging into your actual machine. And then it's going to be an antenna to receive all of your wireless network packets. So that way, if you're not going to be plugging this computer in for gaming, then you definitely want to make sure that you are using this. And here you can see those coaxial cables. The next part that we're going to be looking at is going to be the actual keyboard that came with this particular bundle. And let's see if we can get it open. It looks like it's taped down. Surprise, surprise. Thankfully, I have my handy dandy scissors. RGB mouse again. And this wired mouse is going to light up whenever you actually plug it into one of the USB slots on your computer. All right, so continuing on to this peripheral box here, we're just going to take out the keyboard. And you can see here that the keyboard is pretty basic. So again, this keyboard is actually a wired keyboard, and you are going to have to plug this into the actual tower in order to get the best performance. It's actually really well built. It's not heavy, but it's definitely not light where you kind of feel like it's going to break. The keyboard is actually a soft tactile touch, so you're not going to get that typewriter feeling whenever you're on this keyboard. It's actually pretty quiet, so whenever you are typing, it's not going to be obnoxiously loud, which unfortunately for me, I like those loud tactile keyboards, and so this is going to be a little bit more of a getting used to for me because it's so quiet. In regards to peripherals, just because this computer is a quote-unquote gaming PC, it doesn't mean that you can't hook a printer up onto this. Most printers nowadays are going to be over your Wi-Fi anyways, so you're able to go ahead and use this computer to print things. You can also use your own mouse and keyboard. This mouse and keyboard that came with this bundle isn't something that you like. You can go ahead and opt to get a more ergonomic type keyboard, which I already have an ergonomic keyboard, so I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to use this as my daily driver for keyboards and or mouse, because I work from home and I need to be able to type like a bajillion words a minute to answer all of my emails and all of my Microsoft Teams messages. And having a non-ergonomic keyboard can actually cause a lot of pain in your wrist and your fingers, and just it's a whole slew of things. So I'm not sure that I'm going to use this keyboard. For the purpose of this video, I will plug in this keyboard and the mouse so that way you can see what it looks like, and then you could just kind of make your own assumptions from there. So currently this is my setup for my computer at home. It's pretty simple. Here you can see I have a mouse pad and then my number pad for my keyboard and my mouse underneath. And then I have two 32-inch 4K curved monitors, my Yeti microphone. And actually this Yeti microphone is actually going to be one of the reasons why I'm able to do voiceovers on some of my videos. Highly recommend this mic if you're actually trying to get into YouTube or doing some type of podcast. I have the Bible. Obviously, you have to make sure you find God first before you do anything else in life, because when you find God first, everything else is going to work out in your favor. I do want to state that my desk is a working desk, kind of like when people say I have a working truck and it's just going to be bound for dents and dings and things like that. That's how this desk is. It's made just to do work. There isn't any additional crafting involved. There's kind of just like bare minimum. So as you can tell, aside from my Koi mouse pad that my girlfriend had got me, there's not a lot of feng shui on this particular desk because I just want to typically get to my desk, get to my computer, do what I gotta do, and then, shut down at the end of the day. But now that's actually going to be changed up a little bit because now I have this massive gaming PC and I don't actually know where I'm going to put it. I don't know if I should put it on the floor, if I should put it on the desk. I don't think there's enough desk real estate for me to go ahead and put that. So it's probably going to be sitting on my floor somewhere. And because it's sitting on my floor, a lot of the wires might be able to have a little bit more better cable management versus just kind of wrapped around the computer monitors here. So don't judge me. Like I said, this is a working desk. Let's do a little video montage of me setting up this computer. Okay, so that was grueling. I hope you enjoyed the montage. I am not even complete with how I actually want my desk to be set up because my OCD is just going through the roof right now. And there's just so many other things I need to do. But you did see that how big that actual computer tower is for that gaming PC. And you should kind of just keep that into consideration when you are actually looking to buy a gaming PC. Because remember, a lot of these gaming PCs are tooting around the fact that they're large, all of the LED fans and all the water cooling and all that stuff. And so the iBUYPOWER Mesh 8 Slate computer that we just been talking about in this video seems pretty cool. So I'm not gonna bore you with how to set up a computer. Hopefully you already know how to do that. So the iBUYPOWER Slate 8 Mesh computer desktop that we just unboxed and set up is going to be one of the mid-range computers. It's definitely not the top range. There are definitely computers that are much more spec'd out than this one, but for the price, especially if you're going to get it on something like Black Friday like I did, you could definitely make a lot of usage out of this particular computer because it's definitely above just like basic daily usage, and it gives you a little bit more capabilities because this computer actually has some really decent specs. And so here I'm going to read it off to you here on Best Buy. And so the iBUYPOWER Slate 8 Mesh, I have my phone here that's giving me the notes here, is a gaming PC. It has an Intel Core i7. So if you're not familiar with Intel Core or i whatever, usually the higher the number, so i5, i7, i9, so on and so forth, the higher the I number there is going to be the more powerful computer processing unit or CPU. And then it has an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4060 with 8 gigabytes of RAM. And if again you're not super technical, that means you have dedicated 8 gigabytes of graphical powerhouse to help you play your games on this computer. And so even though this computer has an Intel i7 core processor and then it has 8 gigabytes of dedicated GPU, the thing that really sold me was these next two stats, and that's going to be the 32 gigabyte DDR5 RAM. So that RAM stands for random access memory. That allows you to open and use your programs on your computer faster, and that's something that I definitely need. So 32 gigabytes is an upgrade from my old computer, and hopefully 32 gigabytes is going to help me with video editing and other things that I do on my computer. The last stat that I'm going to talk about here on this video is going to be the hard drive. So it has a 1 terabyte NVMe hard drive. And so this is going to be pretty much how much storage, how many videos, how many games, how many files can you add to store on your local machine. And so 1 terabyte equates to 1,000 gigabytes. So if you're, again, not a technical person, that's a lot of storage. But in retrospect, in 2024, 1 terabyte of storage is not a lot anymore because a lot of these video games, a lot of these software programs, they're actually coming in the triple digits. So if you have a few heavy hitter software programs that you're using on a regular basis, or maybe you have a big gaming library, that 1 TB storage is actually going to fill up pretty quick. And that leads me to one of the other things as to why I bought this gaming PC versus just a more souped up laptop like I had just before this, is because of the fact that in my experience, the longevity or the upgradability of a desktop computer, specifically a gaming one, has a little bit more capabilities in terms of actually upgrading some of the components. Because you saw how easy it was for me to open up the actual tempered glass and pull that cushion out. So if you can do that simply, you can upgrade the NVMe storage, you can upgrade the RAM, you could add the RAM, you could add additional fans, you could upgrade the GPU, and there's a little bit more nuances to upgrading the computer, but in a general sense, you're able to go ahead and upgrade the computer so that way you don't necessarily have to go out and buy a new computer every time, just like as if you're going to have a laptop. That's not to throw shame at laptops. I love laptops. This is actually the first desktop computer I've had in about 15 years. And so I've actually been using and living off laptops for the last 15 years. And I love laptops. I like the form factor, I like the sleekness and just everything about laptops. But based off of what I'm doing in life right now, which is YouTube and gaming and then obviously work, I'm actually going to hopefully enjoy this gaming PC. So this video isn't really going to incorporate any know before you go tips. That's actually going to be another video where I compare a laptop computer to a gaming computer. So that way, if you are looking forward to that, stay tuned. I'll see you in the next one.